Okay, so Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo was released back in 1995, and it was obviously the 7th game in the series, but the original Mega Man series. But the thing you have to also understand about the Mega Man series is that when this game first came out, these games weren't necessarily as cheap as they are. Well, I mean, back in the day they were cheap, but like nowadays they're like super expensive. You'll be glad to know that Mega Man 7 is a little bit cheaper than Mega Man X3 for the Super Nintendo, but you're still gonna have to pay like an arm and a leg, like $250 just to get an English copy, and that's just without the box art and all that. The thing that here's some really good news though. Mega Man games usually don't have that much text in them. So, for example, you could actually go buy a Japanese copy of Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo, or Super Famicom in this case, for like $20. And you can mod your Super Nintendo, and you can play it. Or you can play the game in English, and at least play the game in Japanese on the console. It's still the same game, and it's still fun either way. Or you could just watch my videos, I could translate them for you, because Mega Man games, I mean, even though they're already in English, they're pretty easy to understand. They're not, like, super hard games to really, like, there's some minor changes, like, with text. The Japanese version of Mega Man 7, I can tell you for a fact, has a little bit more dark story than, but pretty much it's nothing you wouldn't already be able to figure out in Mega Man 7, though. But, in the English version. But that's just to save you a lot of money. Because Mega Man 7, just to get a physical copy, you might as well get the Japanese version if you want a physical copy. Or if you want to just download the game but like still bought it, just get it off like the virtual console, because you can still get the original Mega Man 7. Not to mention the remakes of the game later on, or if you want like a cheaper version of Mega Man 7, you can get Mega Man Anniversary Collection for the GameCube and the PS3 and the PS2. But the problem is though, like when you play those versions of the games, they don't necessarily have the original ending to Mega Man 7. They cut it out for some reason. Like I don't know why Capcom did it, but it's strange, but it just is. But at the same time though, I've also noticed that if you actually do play Mega Man 7 though, the game itself actually changes. Like the game's a little bit more difficult. But the original Super Nintendo version was a lot easier than... I don't know if it's true, but the European versions are what are on the Anniversary Collection. So my guess is that they sort of dubbed the damage down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how... Because Mega Man 7 was sort of difficult, the original one was. I could have swore there was like differences. But anyways, the game takes place like you'd expect. Dr. Wily gets arrested again, and everybody, they kind of have like a flashback. And for the first Super Nintendo Mega Man game, I think it was Mega Man. Oh, well, no, I mean like for the Mega Man series, not the Mega Man X series, but when the original Mega Man 7 came out, I mean they show kind of like flashbacks about like when Mega Man was fighting Dr. Wily in Mega Man 6, and it looks really cool, like the opening cutscenes do, But what happens is, Dr. Wily gets arrested, but then, I forget how much time passes, and it was a few months, or was it 6 months, I can't remember, but, a few months or something like that go by, and the Robot Masters find their way out, and, then you find yourself having to fight, they go back and try to retrieve their leader and all that, and then you find yourself having to pretty much fight. You have Freeze Man, Junk Man, Cloud Man, and Burst Man, and then you had Slash Man, or the Spring Man. Who else was there? Shade Man and Turbo Man. So after you beat them, then you'd go to Dr. Wily's Fortress, and I think there's 5. Is there 4 stages? Yeah, 4 stages. And then you have the end of the game. But what's really interesting about Mega Man 7, though, is that you can buy items, and not to mention there were hidden items. So this was the first game where you technically could go to, other stages, revisit them, and still find, other items there, and, still look around for them, because they weren't, really there anywhere else. But it was really cool to see, what Nintendo, not just Nintendo, but, when Nintendo published the game, when Capcom made it, though, it's, licensed it, I should say, Nintendo did, because Capcom was the one that made the Mega Man series, but the whole Mega Man franchise is just unbelievable. You'd have to see it to believe it. They did an interview on G4 when G4 still existed. They had like Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb. They did an interview with the original creator of Mega Man's, the original Mega Man creator, before he left. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I could pronounce it though, because it's in Japanese, but, you know, I just have to look at it again. But, you know, the guy that created Mega Man 7 and all the Mega Man series, like, they were originally going to call him, they called him Rockman, because, again, you know, like, his sister's name's Roll and all that, rock and roll. You know, Japan's really creative with what they come up with, you know. They really do try hard with the stuff they come up with. You know, they originally were going to call, geez, what was his name? Mega Man. They were originally going to call him not just Rockman, but they were going to also call him like Knuckle Kid or Rainbow Kid. And they eventually said, well, you know, that would sound like too boyish, so they decided to like ramp him up a little bit and call him Mega Man instead. And that was still pretty cool either way. I mean, you know, you can't really go wrong. Again, you can't really go wrong with the Mega Man series because the stuff they put in the games, like, it's just, the Mega Man series, it's there for a reason. You would be surprised at how those games work. And, like, when you really sit down and try to play these games, like, what they put into these games. I mean, it's one of those kind of games, like, once you beat it, you can play it again. You'll never get bored of these gaes. You know, I mean, sure, you're not going to play, like, every day, maybe, but, you know, like, you'll play it more than once, though, for sure. I know that's how I feel. Not to mention, Mega Man 7 was technically really the first dark Mega Man game that really was created. And for good reason, too. You know. You can tell, like, at the end of the game, like, Mega Man, like, has a change. I mean, again, even though he technically arrests Wily, like, 6 times, but it's, like, this game that he really decides, like, maybe you should kill him instead. And why didn't he kill him instead? You know? It's weird, like, it's a really climactic point, but at the same time, though, as far as the Mega Man's the games go, you would be very surprised at how they pulled this off. Like, that's why a lot of people, like, have loved these games. The soundtrack's another really good story. The Robot Master weapons are really cool, too. And overall, it's like, you know, you can still learn new things about these games. Like, you know, even though, like, there's, like, little hidden secrets. Like, for example, like, if you go fight Freeze Man and you don't move, like, if you stand still, he's one of the few Robot Masters in the entire series where, like, he'll do something if you just stand there, and, you know, he won't just immediately start attacking you. Like, he'll actually taunt you, sort of. Like, you know, like, he's, like, waving his arms, like, telling you to bring it on if you actually stand still and you don't fight him. And then immediately, as soon as you move, he'll start moving. It's really cool. Like, some of the cool tricks that the game designers put into the games that, I mean, I'll be honest, even I didn't even know these things until I saw them. It was pretty cool. But, it is really awesome. Like, just that games like this still exist, you know. But the problem is, though, it's just they're expensive. And why are they expensive? But, again, you know, some games like Castlevania X and Dracula X, and then, you know, that's just it. There's just some games out there that they're super expensive, and, well, you know, that's just the supply and demand, you know. The Mega Man series is expensive because, I mean, it's even more expensive than Chrono Trigger is. And, I mean, I have both versions of that game, but jeez, man. I got the Japanese version and the English version, and complete box, too, let me tell you. It's just crazy, like, what you can do when you really come across these things. But, again, Mega Man 7, though, you know, the Wily stages are really long, sort of. And for a Japanese, you know, side-scroll, well, not side-scrolling, but, like, you know, shooting game and all that, it's fun, it really is. Like, what was it? Yeah, horizontal and vertical. There were, well, it's mostly horizontal, but, you know, anybody who plays, like, the Mega Man series, you know that you're not just walking left and right. Sometimes you're climbing up ladders and going up. So it can go left and right, up and down, you know what I mean? But mostly left and right, you know, it's a side-scroller, sort of. But it's not like the screen's always moving itself. You know, there's a few spots in the game where you're fighting a certain enemy in the game, like you're fighting them as you move, but which is actually pretty cool. You know, it's I won't spoil it too much, but the music's really awesome. Again, I've said that many times, but that's pretty much it right there. You know, the music is spot on, especially when you fight like the boss fights. You know, not just the Maverick, not just the Robot Masters, but the Dr. Wily boss fights. It's pretty cool, actually. And so, You know, you also have Rush, who's obviously, you know, Mega Man's dog, but it's pretty cool though. That Mega Man X would soon become Mega Man, was, you know, came from Mega Man, and it's also pretty cool, like, how Capcom really kept the series going, you know, despite how many remakes of Street Fighter they made, but, you know, it's cool, it really is. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you need help with any of the Mega Man games, or if you have any other questions about the series, feel free to comment. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I'll be glad to make it just like that, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Also forgot to mention, in the Mega Man series, there's passwords. Most games don't have like a battery save, so they rely on passwords, and there's so many different combinations of like what you can do after killing what bosses, and that's another reason that makes the Mega Man series so special. It's like, you know, you can play it in any order you want. There's like infinite combinations with it, or at least a good amount, rather. It's really cool, it really is.